We are live. Woohoo! All right. Hello and welcome to our 38th Reach Out and Connect virtual workshop. We today are talking all about using books to learn early math skills. I am Kristen and I'm the program director here at Reach Out and Read. And it's been a while since I've done one of these. And so I'm very excited to be back and working with everyone. And then also from the Reach Out and Read team, we have...
Hi, everyone. Carrie Kurjak from Reach Out and Read.
And then back and better than ever, we have my dad, our trusty translator, Gabe. Sitting in my childhood bedroom. So tonight we are combining two important concepts for young kids, math and reading. We have lots of tips for how you can help your child learn math, like counting, colors, numbers, shapes, measurements, patterns, and comparisons by using books and your reading time. We also have some book recommendations, of course, that do a great job at including math skills in the story. So we are going to get started.
Okay, so buenas noches, dice Kristen, la directora del proyecto, y dice que esta noche vamos a hablar acerca de cómo usar libros para aprender habilidades matemáticas tempranas. Y este es el taller número 38. Ella dice que esta noche vamos a combinar dos conceptos importantes para los niños, que son las matemáticas y la lectura. Ella dice que esta noche vamos a dar muchos consejos en cómo se puede ayudar a los niños para que aprendan habilidades matemáticas como contar, colores, números, formas, medidas, patrones y comparaciones, por medio de usar libros y lectura o leerle a los niños. También vamos a dar unas recomendaciones de libros que pueden facilitarle este proceso de cómo ayudarlos a los niños, que incluyen obviamente habilidades matemáticas en las historias. Así que comencemos.
All right. Oops. Let me share the right thing.
Always good to get an inside look at the desktop.
Had it all set up. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's start by talking about a couple early math skills. Kristen mentioned a couple to start, and there is just so much that your young child is learning in regards to math, but I kind of simplified it down into 5 really of the first math skills that I want to highlight tonight. So starting with colors. Yes, colors are considered a math skill that your children will start to learn and be evaluated on in kindergarten. So let's start right now by learning colors, learning what the colors are called and what they look like so that they can identify them. Shapes is another skill that they will be learning. So learning what a square looks like, what a circle looks like, what a triangle looks like, and then being able to point out and identify them as an important early math skill. Patterns are things, they can be numbers, shapes, images, and then they repeat. So like circle, square, circle, square, circle, square. Patterns help children to learn to make predictions and understand what comes next. This starts to build their reasoning skills. The fourth one is color counting and numbers. So this is brought up of a couple different things. It's the ability to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then after a child knows those rote numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, then they learn what is called one-to-one correspondence. So learning that what numbers are, when we say that, it represents a quantity or an amount. So you start by building this by using your pointer finger and pointing at one object as you count. So 1, 2, 3, and learning that that represents an amount, a quantity. Children are also learning what these numbers look like when written down. So looking at the number 5 on the corner of a storybook page is going to be something that they're also going to be learning about, what that number 5 looks like. The final math skill that I have kind of boiled it down to, I'm calling math words. So vocabulary around math. This can be a lot of comparison words like more or less, tall or short, add and subtract, and even some science words like float and sink. So just using these words, hearing them from a young age in daily conversations will help your kids then to learn what they mean. So then they'll be able to start talking about it. And these kind of words are really the beginning of talking about different measurements and different operations.
Ok, Carrie nos habla esta noche acerca de cuáles son unas habilidades tempranas de matemáticas para los niños. Entonces ella dice que vamos a empezar a hablar acerca de estas habilidades matemáticas y que hay una cantidad de cosas que los niños pueden aprender en referencia a las matemáticas, pero que especialmente hay 5 habilidades que ella piensa que son muy importantes y las quiere subrayar. La primera son los colores. Ella dice que sí, los colores son considerados una habilidad matemática. Ella dice que el saber cuáles son los colores y cómo se llaman y cómo se parecen unos con otros, tienen esa relación matemática. Las formas es el número 2. Aprender cómo es un cuadrado, o cómo es un círculo, o cómo es un triángulo, y saber identificarlos y ser capaz de llamarlos, ¿no? Es una habilidad matemática importante y temprana, ¿no? Ahora, los patrones. Los patrones son, pueden ser patrones de números, pueden ser patrones de formas, pueden ser patrones de imágenes, pero en general la definición del patrón es que se repite, ¿no? Como un círculo, después un cuadrado, un círculo, un cuadrado, un círculo, un cuadrado, ¿no? Ese es el patrón. Estos patrones les van a ayudar mucho a los niños a hacer predicciones y entender qué es lo que viene después, ¿no? Así ellos pueden mirar así la relación de la continuación del patrón. Entonces ellos pueden identificar qué es lo que va a pasar después. Y obviamente ellos pueden utilizar esta habilidad de racionalizar muy importante a través de la vida, ¿no? De ellos. El número 4 es el contar y números. El contar y los números es una habilidad como el 1, el 2, el 3, y así a medida como van sucediendo. Y después de que el niño aprende los números, o se sabe los números, ellos aprenden la habilidad que se llama 1 a 1, una correspondencia de 1 a 1. Aprender estos números que son representativos de una cantidad o de una cantidad, ¿no? Más que todo. Como subrayar, especialmente la que ellos hablan de contar, ¿no? Ahora, los niños también tienen una idea en el aprender los números a medida que ellos los escriben. Escribirlos es importante. Como digamos el número 5 en una esquina de un libro que ellos están leyendo historias, ¿no? Es importante que ellos entiendan el significado de ese número 5. Ahora, por último, ella nos habla acerca de palabras de matemáticas. Estos pueden ser palabras de comparación, como mucho y poco, como alto y bajo, como sumar y restar, como flotar o hundirse. Así, solamente oyendo estas palabras a una edad muy pequeña, les va a ayudar a los niños a que entiendan el significado y al mismo tiempo aprenden a hablar acerca de ellas. Y esto puede ser el principio de que ellos empiezan a entender las habilidades de medidas y operaciones en las matemáticas. Kristen.
Right. Thanks, Dad. So before we get to talking about using books to promote early math skills, I just want to touch on a bunch of other ways for you to help support your child's early math skills that you can do every day, like playing together with blocks and shapes, drawing, and lots of other activities make for opportunities to learn colors, to count, and to math words. For example, you can ask your child to sort their toys by color, size, or shape, all working on early math skills. Another thing you can do is talk about early math concepts throughout your day, like counting cars as you pass, or describing things like more or less, like there are more people on that side of the road than there are on this side of the road. And then you can also create patterns. So as Carrie mentioned earlier, like circle, square, maybe you see a pattern on the sidewalk that you can point out. And so these are different ways that you can incorporate math, every day while you're going about your life. And another super fun way to incorporate math, which I think is my personal favorite, is bring math into cooking. Ask your child to hand you the big spoon or the small spoon using those math words. And then you can also have them measure ingredients for you, especially if you're baking. That's a great way to help measure ingredients. All right, moving on to books. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pause there. Dad, do you mind translating? And then we'll move on to books.
Okay. Kristen nos dice que cómo se pueden usar en los días, en todos los días, libros que puedan construir habilidades matemáticas. Pero ella dice que antes de empezar a utilizar los libros, hay una cantidad de otras maneras, ¿no? Hay otras maneras que pueden ayudar a soportar este aprendimiento de las matemáticas a una edad temprana. Y ella menciona cómo jugar juntos con bloques o formas o dibujos y otras actividades que demuestran oportunidades para que ellos aprendan los colores a contar y ciertas palabras de matemáticas. Pregúntele a tu niño cómo desarrollar y cómo evaluar juguetes por el tamaño, por el color o por la forma. Es otra manera. Ahora, hablando de conceptos de matemáticas a través de tu día con los niños, como contando carros que te pasan o describiendo cosas que utilizan palabras como de comparación, como mucho y poco. Y también palabras que crean patrones, como hablamos antes. Son unas maneras muy buenas de incorporar las matemáticas en tu vida diaria. Tú también puedes traer las matemáticas a la cocina, a cocinar. Por ejemplo, pregúntale a tu niño que te dé una big spoon. Como puede ser un plato grande.
¿Cuchillo o cuchara?
Cuchara,
Yeah,
una cuchara grande o una cuchara pequeña, o yo iba a compararlo con un plato grande o un plato pequeño, porque se me olvidó la palabra, pero bueno, ya mi hija me recordó. Y también la parte de medir los ingredientes, eso puede ser muy clave, ¿no? Porque requiere muchas matemáticas en las cantidades que tú tienes que hacer a medida que vas cocinando una receta. Ahora, moving into books.
Yes. All right. So now we are going to move on to books and early math. So you can use storybook pictures to build a lot of these early math skills. I'm going to use the book This Story Is For You, written and illustrated by Greg Pizzoli, to demonstrate some of the ways that you can do this. It's important to note that this book is not at all about math, but there's tons of math in this book. So as Carrie mentioned, colors are an early math skill. So colors are so easy to talk about with children's books. So here, I just picked a random page, right? I can even pick another page here. You can ask them about what colors they see, even if they can't talk just yet, right? So if they can't talk, it's totally fine. You would then say, I see red, blue, and yellow. And point to the colors as you're talking about them, just as I did. So red, blue, and yellow. This will help with that one-to-one correspondence that was mentioned earlier. As your child grows, start asking them questions that they can answer. Can you find something red? And maybe they point to this red hat up here. Another fun thing you can do is play I Spy. So maybe you turn to another page and you say, I spy something pink. And that pink thing is her hair tie. And then you take turns. So you say I spy and your child guesses, and then your child says they spy something and you guess. So it can be a lot of fun. Also, you can encourage your child to see different shapes and patterns in the books that you read together. So here, particular page marked for this. So maybe you say, all right, let's go to this one for now. So can you find all the squares on the page? There's a square of the book. Oh, I don't know if I see any other squares over here. What about circles? There's the moon. There are circles on the columns there. So ask them. Then you can also tell them or ask them to count the number of circles that they see, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my goodness. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh gosh. What about their eyes? 20, 21. What about their heads? 22, 23. So there's lots of different ways to talk about shapes. Then another thing you can do is talk about patterns. This page, I chose this page in particular, apologies if you can't see it that well, because look, here's one green tree trunk, then there's one brown tree trunk. What do you think comes next in the pattern? I think it's a green tree trunk and then a brown tree trunk. So there you can find different patterns, and I'm sure that's not the only pattern in this book. You can also point and talk about how numbers are shown and written in the book. Another really good way to do that right here is, look, there are 2 kids, 1, 2 on the page. You can also look at the page numbers as you flip through, as was mentioned earlier. This book doesn't have page numbers, but generally you would find them right here and you would say, oh, look, this is page 12 and point to the number as you say it. You can also use the picture to count objects and practice using your child's pointer finger together to count the objects. So here is another really good page for this, right? So practice touching your child's pointer finger. So you can use your finger, but you can also take their finger and point and help them point. How many stars are there? Let's count. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 stars. The repetition is very helpful, right? 1, 2, 3. There are 3 stars. That will help with the counting and numbers. And then you can also practice using math words like more or less. There are more stars than clouds on this page. Is that true? Look, there are 1, 2 clouds, and 1, 2, 3, 3 stars. So there are more stars than clouds. Using those comparison words will really help develop your child's early math skills. Honestly, you can find early math skills on pretty much every single page of this book. And that's true for most books. There's always something early math related in children's books.
Ok, Kristen dice que hablando de libros, tú puedes usar historias con dibujos o con figuras para construir estas habilidades matemáticas tempranas. Ella dice que va a utilizar este libro que lo estuvo describiendo y que el nombre de la historia es que es una historia para ti, que está escrito e ilustrado por Greg Pizzoli y así él lo demuestra, ¿no? Este libro no es acerca de matemáticas, pero tiene una cantidad de matemáticas en o cosas que se pueden utilizar como matemáticas, ¿no? Por ejemplo, los colores son muy fáciles. Mira una foto o un dibujo con tu niño o con tu bebé y empieza a hablar acerca de los colores. Pregúntales qué colores tú ves. Y si ellos no pueden hablar, eso está bien, porque tú lo que vas a hacer es leerles el color, ¿no? O decirles, mira, yo miro esto que está rojo, o yo miro esto que está amarillo, o miro esto que está azul. Y con tu dedo lo pones en el color de que estás describiendo, ¿no? Así como tu niño empieza a crecer, él o ella empieza a hacerse preguntas, ¿no? Y son preguntas que ellos mismos pueden contestar. Y así, a medida que tú empiezas a hacer las preguntas, como puedes encontrar el color rojo, o puedes mirar lo que yo veo que es un poco anaranjado, o puedes encontrar esto, o puedes encontrar aquello. Entonces el niño empieza a seguirte y aprende estas habilidades. Ahora, facilitar para que tu niño vea formas diferentes y patrones diferentes en el libro a medida que tú les estás leyendo. Y les preguntas, ¿no? ¿Qué forma es esta? ¿O qué color es este? ¿No? Así ellos pueden empezar a identificarlos. ¿No? Puedes encontrar bloques cuadrados, ¿no? Contemos cuántos círculos hay en el libro. Mira, aquí hay un cajón que es verde, hay otro cajón que es café, ¿no? Y empiezas a escribir los patrones y le puedes también preguntar a él qué crees que sea el siguiente, ¿no? A medida que tú desarrollas el patrón, ¿no? Ahora, háblales acerca de los números que están mostrados en el libro. Como hay 2 niños, entonces tú puedes decir, mira, hay uno aquí y otro acá, son 2 niños, 1 y 2. Ahora, mira también los números que están en las páginas. En este libro especialmente que está mostrando no tiene números, pero muchos libros tienen los números, ¿no? Para que tú los puedas identificar. Y pues le preguntas, ¿no? ¿Qué número es este? ¿Qué número es aquel? ¿No? Y también tú puedes utilizar dibujos o figuras para ayudarles a contar. Y asegúrate que tú los tocas, ¿no? Para que él, especialmente con tu dedo o o tú cargas el dedo de tu niño para que él lo pueda identificar, ¿no? Así él se puede identificar con el color a medida que él lo está tocando. Ella hace un ejemplo como en el caso del libro que dice, ¿cuántas estrellas hay aquí? Contémoslas. 1, 2 y 3. Ahora, practica tus palabras de matemáticas como más o menos, ¿no? Entonces, el ejemplo de las estrellas sería, ¿hay más estrellas que nubes en esta página? Entonces tú dices, ¿no? A ver, contemos. Hay dos nubes y hay 1, 2 y 3 estrellas. Entonces, en conclusión, como te puedes dar cuenta, si tú miras el libro vas a encontrar una cantidad de ejemplos de matemáticas que se pueden utilizar en cada página. Carrie.
Wonderful. All right, got a quick video for us that goes over a couple different early math skills. Some things we've talked about and some things are going to be new. So let's watch. Sound good?
Reading picture books to extend a child's math learning. Family support is vital to a child's math education. When your family talks about math, plays math games, and reads books about math, you're increasing your child's understanding. Mathematics learning starts when your child is an infant and continues every day. And reading math books is a great way to help them learn. Reading together is a calming and comforting activity for a parent and child to share. While reading books, there's an emotional connection, which creates joy while also supporting learning. While reading to your child, they are experiencing new content and increasing their language development to support a lifelong love of learning. Positive attitudes about math. Similar to other learning experiences, families need to maintain a positive attitude about math while reading and discussing math concepts. Talking negatively about math often keeps a child from feeling confident about their own abilities. Choosing books. Choose books to read that support thinking and learning. Books that bring math into real-life situations and use interesting pictures and text can motivate children to learn new skills and concepts. Picture books based on teaching math directly. Picture books that teach math directly are simple ways to make connections to a child's everyday life. Counting books might have a numeral and the number of objects on the page. These books reinforce counting, groups of objects, and numerals. Picture books based on teaching math indirectly. By choosing illustrated books based on math to read to your child, there is potential to promote connections between mathematical ideas and experiences in school and life. These skills are taught in ways that a child finds understandable and relatable, making math exciting and engaging. Extending math learning. When you are getting ready to read a book to your child, a few simple activities can extend their math learning. Look at the cover of the book and predict what might happen in the story. Look at all the pictures in the book without reading the words to generate interest. While reading, have conversations about the book and make connections to your child's favorite foods, people they know, or situations that they may have experienced that are similar to the characters in the books. By reading to your child every day and incorporating books about math, you can promote a lifetime of learning.
That had some bit of additional information and some that we've already covered and some that we are going to cover. So what kind of books can we choose, like they mentioned in the video, that actually have to do with specific math concepts? The Erickson Institute has a really great book list for that. And I'll link that in the description in 1 second. I'm going to go through some of these first. So they have a bunch of book lists that actually are related to specific math skills like sets, number sense, counting, operations, patterns, measurement, data analysis even, spatial relationships, and shapes. There's tons of great books on here. Some of these are also bilingual, which is excellent. And some that I can recommend that we know, of course, Brown Bear is a classic, a lot of patterns in that book. I really like The 1 Grain of Rice. It's another one I can recommend. Strega Nona is here as well, another great book. A lot of great authors on here too that have a lot of interesting and good work. So take a look at these. There's tons of books here. And again, they're all on specific math skills. And then Kristen has some other books that she has in her own personal library that are math related that she's going to share with us.
Thank you, Carrie. So all of those are really great book recommendations from the Erickson Institute. But I'm going to show you a few that I have in my own collection that I love for teaching math, and they also teach some other skills too. So one of my favorites is Friend Shape. It is by Amy Krause Rosenthal and Tom Lichtenfeld held. And it's great because it's a book about friendship. Who doesn't love a book about friendship? But it is also a book all about shapes. And so, and colors, all these different concepts we talked about. So it's a really fun way to talk about friends and learning and sharing, which is something that generally interests kids, as well as building in those early math skills. The next book I am going to talk about is a bilingual book called Count Me In. And this here, it is written by Cynthia Wheel, and all of the pictures are done by their photographs of ceramics done by the Aguilar sisters in Mexico. And so you can see here, Count Me In. It's a parade of Mexican folk art and numbers. So you have uno. You have one on the page. Then you can go tres. And this is really great too, because you can point as you're saying it for that one-to-one correspondence. You're also teaching letters at that point too. And then you can count 1, 2, 3. Uno, dos, tres. Cynthia Wheel has another book that's really great using math vocabulary called Opuestos. And this is another bilingual book. These illustrations are photographs of wood sculptures from Oaxaca, Mexico, by Quirino and Martin Santiago. Beautiful, beautiful illustrations, but some of my favorites. Here we have high or alto and low or bajo. So you have the butterfly that is very high, and then the cheetah, which is very low. So teaching those different math concepts there. It also brings in others that aren't necessarily math concepts like night and day. Left and right is another really good one for teaching kids. And then we have short and long, or larga y corto. And that is referring to the dog's tail. So very long tail, very short tail. And then the last one I'll share with you is a math and science text. They call it my first science textbook. It is a board book called Protons and Neutrons, and they have one for atoms and all sorts of fun things. But this is really wonderful It is written by Mary Wissinger and illustrated by Harriet Kim on Rodas. And I love the introduction to science and atoms and protons and neutrons. There's another one on electrons as well. But the first page, you meet Pete the proton. And here you can see all of the different elements in the periodic table. So you have all these different numbers and symbols. And then I love this because it says you can find 6 of us in carbon. 6C carbon. In oxygen, you can find 8. So then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's a really great way, not only to introduce those math concepts, but also some early science concepts as well. And believe it or not, this is a board book and it's designed for your babies and toddlers. So get them their very first textbook.
Kristen nos acaba de mostrar una cantidad de libros que incluyen matemáticas en estas, ¿no? Pero el punto de ella en general fue que hay muchas historias y muchas historias reales con tu vida, ¿no? Que pueden tener mucha conexión con tu hijo o contigo y que pueden ser parte de la vida de los hijos, ¿no? Ella dice que hay muchos libros que están escritos específicamente para soportar estas habilidades matemáticas y que un recurso muy bueno para encontrar estos libros es el Instituto Erickson. El Instituto Erickson. Este instituto tiene muchas recomendaciones y son muy específicos acerca de las habilidades matemáticas. Y especialmente, claro, de formas de cómo contar, de patrones, ¿no? Y eso es lo que ella nos quiere enfatizar esta noche, ¿no? Que hay muchos libros que sirven para ayudar a las habilidades matemáticas de tus niños. Kristen.
All right.
Papá.
So that is it. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. As a reminder, we have lots of virtual resources on our website, which includes the locations of our clinics. And if you're looking to take your child to a clinic, a new pediatrician, to receive a free developmentally appropriate book at each visit, be sure to check out our locations. And as always, if you have any thoughts for a workshop we should do, please let us know and reach out. We will drop the contact info in the comments. And thank you so much. We really enjoyed being with you here tonight, and we hope you learned a little bit. Thank you so much.
Kristen se despide esta noche, pero ella no se quiere ir sin enfatizar que si tú llevas a tus niños a una clínica, entonces ellos van a recibir sus libros gratis, ¿no? Y que esto pasa en cada visita en que tú lleves a tu niño. O sea que es muy importante que escojas un doctor pediátrico donde se puedan obtener libros y que ellos tienen una lista muy grande en la página del internet de ellos. Y que muchas gracias por haber asistido esta noche.
Check out the comments and you've got all of the links that you need for the books. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. Adios.
All right.